Are you looking for peace of mind at your doorstep? Look no further. With the Blink Video Doorbell, your home's entrance is always within your control. Check out the link in the video description to learn more and get your Blink Video Doorbell on Amazon. Your home is in your hands.
A Russian assassin who carried out a horror wig-wearing hit job was released back to the Kremlin in the biggest prisoner swap since the Cold War. Vadim Krasakov gunned down a former Chechen rebel leader twice in the head in a Berlin park, in broad daylight, in 2019, just steps away from kids in a playground. The ex-Special Forces commando proved key in the prisoner swap on Thursday that set free Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan and British-Russian journalist Vladimir Kara-Murza. The 58-year-old was in 2021 convicted of murder and state terrorism by a German court. Tornike Kangashvili, also known as Zelimkin Kangashvili, was assassinated in August 2019 in retaliation for his role fighting alongside Chechen separatists against Moscow in the 2000s, the court found. Krasakov, who witnesses said had a dark wig, cycled up behind him and shot him dead, before changing clothes, shaving off his beard and dumping his bike on a pond in a panic to evade arrest. The judge concluded that Krasakov was acting on commands of Russia's Federal Security Service, or FSB. He was sentenced to life imprisonment for an especially serious crime. Judge Olaf Arnoldi said at the time, state organs of the government of the Russian Federation took the decision to liquidate Tornike Kangashvili in Berlin. Kangashvili had given up the fight against the Russian Federation years before. He had not held a weapon in his hands since 2008. This was not an act of self-defense by Russia. This was and is nothing other than state terrorism. The judge added the order very likely came from Vladimir Putin himself. According to the Wall Street Journal, Krasakov boasted to German prison guards, "The Russian Federation will not leave me to rot in jail." That became reality on Thursday in the deal that won the West back a trio of prisoners, including the wrongfully detained Gershkovich, who was staring down the barrel of a 16-year sentence. The German government said it didn't make the decision to release Putin's hitman lightly, but regaining the three Westerners could only be done by swapping a Russian with an intelligence background. Chancellor Olaf Scholz's spokesperson Stefan Hebestreit said in a statement, "The freedom, physical well-being and in some cases ultimately the life of innocent people imprisoned in Russia and unjustly held political prisoners stood against the state's interest. Our obligation to protect German citizens and solidarity with the U.S. were important motivations. Today is a joyous day for the safe return of our colleague Evan Gershkovich, who left a Russian aircraft moments ago in Turkey's capital, Ankara, as part of a prisoner swap with Russia. It is a joyous day for Evan's family, friends and colleagues, who have worried about him and supported him these past 16 months. It is a joyous day for the millions of well-wishers in the U.S. and around the world who stood with Evan and defended the free press. And it is a joyous day for the relatives and friends of the other wrongfully detained Americans and German citizens who returned home and for the Russian political prisoners who were released to the West. That it was done in a trade for Russian operatives guilty of serious crimes was predictable as the only solution given President Putin's cynicism. We are grateful to President Biden and his administration for working with persistence and determination to bring Evan home rather than see him shipped off to a Russian work camp for a crime he didn't commit. We are also grateful to the other governments that helped bring an end to Evan's nightmare, in particular the German government that played such a critical role. We know the U.S. government is keenly aware, as are we, that the only way to prevent a quickening cycle of arresting innocent people as pawns in cynical geopolitical games is to remove the incentive for Russia and other nations that pursue the same detestable practice. The ordeal of Evan and the other returnees, along with those Americans still being wrongfully detained around the world, demonstrates the urgent need for a change in the dynamic to prevent the future seizure of innocent hostages. But for now, we are celebrating the return of Evan. While we waited for this momentous day, we were determined to be as loud as we could be on Evan's behalf. We are so grateful for all the voices that were are.